Hello, hello, hello. Back for another episode of the flagship TWIG show. What do we have this week? Well, and actually more importantly, what have I been doing? I have been checking out a bunch of products that came in that I'll talk about at the end of the show that are going to take a bit longer to review, if not because they're just a little different. But I visited last week. I had the show recorded early because I visited family, did sort of an early Mother's Day type thing, plus helped set up some things around my mother and grandmother's home where some electronic stuff needed working on, as well as some computer stuff needed to be checked and fixed and upgraded. And it was sort of Mr. Networking Handyman that time when I was there. So I got free food, I got free laundry done, a place to stay. I was happy. And upon coming home, I received some stuff to review. In this particular show, Birdman is back with another review. He's doing the new Pokemon Snap game. He had said earlier in the year, even before he had his illnesses pop up, that he was interested in reviewing it if we got a copy. And I said, hey, are you interested in doing that? Do you think you'll be able to, muster up the energy? He's like, I've got enough energy to do it. He goes, and yes, I'd really like that. I want a nice, chill, mellow game that I can play with Blair and not have to worry about running out of energy. And I'm like, good. Here you go, buddy. Nintendo sent this over. You can review it. So he is going to have that. That's going to be our middle review, sort of breaking up the show. At the beginning of the first review we're going to have is my review of Star Wars Pinball VR from Zen Studios. And that's for the Oculus platform. And we're going to have my review of Returnal at the end of the program here. Plus the curated news and weird news that Birdman has gathered together. And I'll sort of explain at the end of the show, like I said, some other stuff that we're working on, as well as some upcoming shows over the next couple weeks that should be a little different and interesting for sure. So without further ado, let's get into the first review, and then we'll be back with the news.
This is a fair request, and I promise I will not judge any person only as a teenager, and that this is no more right than saying all teenagers are drunken dope addicts or glue sniffers.
Now we have a quick VR review. This is sort of part of that ongoing series we have now that we are set up with the Oculus Quest 2, so we can play both PC VR and standalone VR titles made for that Oculus platform. Well, we were sent over a review code for Star Wars Pinball VR. And this is one that I've wanted to get into and see since I saw it announced, because we've played pinball games in the past when it comes to digital, but to me they've never really felt immersive, because pinball is a very tactile game. You want to feel the bumpers, you want to feel the play area, the rumble, the bumps, the chimes. It's very much a similar feeling like when you see like slot machines or you see amusement games where you're using like a crane game. It's never the same when you're using it digital. They've done a pretty good job in the past with VR titles from there's been a few, but the better ones out there are pretty much from Zen Studios, and this is what this is. This is another Zen Studios release. It's available on Steam VR, PlayStation VR, and Oculus, which is obviously the version I'm playing. But this is the first time where having a pinball game kind of makes sense to me digitally, because you put on your headset and it puts you into a playroom. And there's different things you can interact with, like a jukebox and things that give you challenges and leaderboards, and there's tons of ephemera and decorations, and it's a collector's dream. It's like they've built your own little Star Wars just play place inside of it, and you get a bunch of different tables to play with. And interestingly enough, they have voice actors and clips in it. You can do things like, the better you play, you can unlock points to then unlock, not cheats, but like think about back in the day when you used to unlock certain modes and alternate play styles and bonuses for each individual game. So the more you play the game, the more crap you get, the more cool things you can do with it. The pinball tables feel like they're coming to life, and when you're in that virtual space, you are getting the haptic feedback. You're getting a little more, it does feel closer to being with an actual machine or in an actual arcade. And I think that this could be a realm that we go down, if more companies started putting up more pinball or arcade machines, classic ones, in these virtual spaces like this. This is very well done. It's very polished. Encountered no slowdowns or issues. The graphics are tuned perfectly for the Oculus. It doesn't appear to be, a downgrade going to a standalone device from, going with like a high-end PC one. The physics are tight. That's the hardest part to get down, is if the physics of the ball movement and everything doesn't feel weighty enough or to feel like it's natural. And that's the thing that Zen Studios is really good at, is making the physics of it work. And now they've got this immersive world. If you put headphones on and you feel like you're inside of this basement playing with the pinball machines. Very well put together. Audio's great. Visuals are better than I was expecting from a pinball game. And the tactile feel of it is very, very good. Thumbs up from me. If you have a VR headset, and especially if you have an Oculus, this is one of the go-to games that anybody in the family can play. And it's not too hard to figure out. And you can play it sitting down. You can play it standing up. It's not going to be a hindrance. You're not going to be moving around so much that you're going to swing into things or anything. And you can waste easily hours and hours and hours just down the rabbit hole playing these games. Very, very, very good. Highly recommended.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek
News.
It's news time. So, we have 3 curated stories here for you from Birdman. The first is from Canada via CTV News. They are reporting that Baidu rolls out paid driverless taxi service in Beijing. So, okay. So, Chinese tech giant Baidu rolled out its paid driverless taxi service on Sunday, this previous Sunday, making it the first company to commercialize autonomous driving operations in China. Unlike previous Baidu autonomous driving demonstrations in Beijing, this was the first time there was no safety driver sitting behind the wheel. Instead, a safety member was seated in the front passenger seat to deal with any emergencies. Up to 10 Apollo robotaxis are now operating simultaneously in an area of about 3 square kilometers, which is 1.2 square miles for our American listeners, picking up and dropping off passengers at 8 stops in Shugang Park in western Beijing. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the names. I'm trying my best here. Each ride costs 30 yuan, which is about $4.60 or about $6 Canadian, and is open to passengers aged 18 to 60. So they're trying to make it so that no old person will freak out and die in the car, and nobody under the age of 18 might mess with it or get in trouble, because that would look bad. The park is a former site of iron and steel plants that's been redeveloped into a sightseeing destination and a future venue for the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Although traffic flows aren't heavy, an influx of tourists was seen in the park on the second day of China's International Labor Day holiday. The robo-taxis are repeatedly forced to brake when encountering jaywalkers or curious tourists who came in close to the vehicles for photos. Kelly Wang and her husband, who both work in the artificial intelligence industry, said they had a smooth riding experience. I would recommend people experience this. There is a strong sense of technology because nobody is in the driver's seat, Wang said. Her husband was even considering buying such a car for their household. Passengers can order a robotaxi on an app called Apollo Go. When the taxi arrives, passengers must have their identities verified before getting in. The taxi will start to move after it detects the passengers have fastened their seatbelts. What if you're a fatso like me? I guess you got to carry, if it's a tiny car with a tiny seatbelt, you have to get your own. excuse me, your own seatbelt extender and click, click, and hopefully it detects it. Or if you're somebody that's pregnant and you don't want to have something too binding, who knows? One visitor, Amy Lee, still had concerns about autonomous driving because driving behavior on the road can be complex, obviously. We've all had experiences such as other cars jumping the queue or making a sudden lane change. People have emotions while robots don't, at least at present. She said, the robots may not be able to deal with such changes. Baidu, known for its search engines, has been testing autonomous driving on the open road since last year. Its Apollo Go robotaxi service has carried more than 210,000 passengers in 3 cities across China and aims to expand to 30 cities in the next 3 years, the company said in a press release. In the future, Baidu Apollo will launch driverless robotaxis in more cities, enabling the public to access greener, low-carbon, and convenient travel services while continuing to improve the unmanned service process and user experience, said Wang, Vice President and General Manager of Autonomous Driving Technology at Baidu, in a statement. This makes me think of, wasn't there a robotaxi with like a fake person inside of it in Total Recall on Mars? And wasn't there also one, it's making me think of, I think there was a robotaxi like this in Idiocracy. The scary thing is, I think for the first bit, people will be nervous getting in. You might have people getting heart attacks just from the anxiety of not being, if you're sitting in the back seat of a taxi and there's nobody in the front, it might be enough that you might start to have a panic attack. Even though in your head, you logically will know that it's going to drive safe. There's just the thought of, well, what if there's nobody there to fix it if something goes wrong? So that's going to be we're like decades away from that being something that's solved. So it will be freaky if you end up going outside, like out here when you see the 401, like the busiest highway in the world. If you saw like 700 cars that had no drivers in them, it's going to be freaky. Where it's going to be really freaky is how this might shake up the truck driving industry. I worked for a company that designed automatic truck driving log makers, because traditionally truck driving industry has been, you kept a manual log. There are various rules depending on if it's the States, Canada, or Mexico, also depending, sometimes it depends on the state, but there's a general mandate for most things in most states that are very similar. There might be some eccentricities that you'll have to know about, and as a driver you'd figure them out, but you're logging your hours. You can't overdrive a certain amount or it's illegal and you could be taken off the road. So a lot of times truck drivers in the past used to keep a second logbook, or they work for 2 companies and not tell the other one, and yada yada. A lot of sneaky shit going on so they could try to make more money, and that's how we got a lot of car accidents back in the day, and even up to recently. And what this company did was they made an auto tracker that used your phone, and it plugged into the computerized system of the truck, and it would record all the hours. It would pop up on your phone saying, hey, you got to stop here. You must stop, or it would update with the rules of wherever you were located. So ELD devices, it's becoming a mandate in Canada too. Yada, yada, yada. I worked in tech support. This might change how people drive. You may not have. It's going to reduce. I don't know if we're ever going to hit completely driverless trucks for high asset items, like a truck driver carrying very expensive items in the back, or even food. You're probably not going to have a driverless truck drive that everywhere. But what you're probably going to see is less drivers that are driving in tandem, where it's one person drives for his shift or her shift, and then they swap drivers when it's time to sleep. So that because traditionally, if you're driving by yourself, you drive for the end of the day, you hit your limit for the hours. You must pull over, or you must have already planned on where you're going to sleep. So what you have to do is you pull out, and you have your mandated so many hours that you can't be on the road whatsoever. And with electronic software that dictates it, you can get dinged for it right away if you get on the road, and you can't disable the item, or you can risk, again, getting a ticket. So what this might do, and it's going to be freaky at first for a lot of drivers, it might eliminate some jobs, and that you won't have two people driving in a truck together, but it might mean that what you have is a lot more single drivers driving more trucks on the road more at once. And what will happen is during your active hours, you'll be driving. And then, if you were to get too tired, or if the truck could even sense that the smart truck could sense that you're getting tired, and then auto compensate, be like, notification, you are tired, pull over, or rest, and it will take control of the vehicle from you. So it'd be funny if you're driving down the road, you see somebody sleeping and the car's driving by itself, or the truck. But what it would end up doing is, it would mean that there would be almost zero downtime. As long as the truck can determine and report that you're not the one driving it, it would mean that when you're taking your mandatory 8 or 12 or 14 hours or whatever it is you need to, or your reset time when you're supposed to be sleeping, you could be sleeping in the back of your cab, and the truck could be driving down a large stretch of the road and doing all the calculations. Now, there's a lot more that a truck has to calculate for based on weight, size, turning radius, and all that sort of stuff. And you might not want it on rough terrain, or if you're going up into the Rockies or somewhere where it's really icy. But it could mean that for those long hauls, that I had a friend whose father, all through grade school, he was a long haul driver, and he would drive from southwestern Ontario into the States, and he would drive down to Texas and then to Mexico and back on his runs. And that was his job basically every week in, week out. He lived mostly on the road, except when he was home on, certain weekends and that, but he would drive those long hauls, and it's the same route almost every time, and these long stretches where there's nothing to do, and he would have to stop and sleep. This could be something where you could be sleeping. The truck never has to get off the road unless, it's time to fuel. It could automatically calculate how much fuel it's got, figure out when it's time to fuel up, so it can tell you when it's time to sleep or when to go. It could figure out most of the stuff for you, and you would be the one still driving, or even if you weren't, your job would then be less of the driving and more of the being a security officer to secure the assets. And that's very interesting how that might lead that industry. They're starting with taxis first, obviously, because it's simple, it's smaller cars, less money, but we're looking at like 20 to 30 years from now, look at having autonomous vehicles that are trucks that it would shift the industry completely. So that's my thoughts on that. I would assume some people might have their own. I'm not somebody who drives. I don't have a driver's license. I'm disabled, and also money-wise wouldn't really account for it. So I do rely on public transit. So for me, would this mean that when I would get, let's say, a mobility transit, if I booked that ahead of time, or if I'm getting on city buses, would that mean the automation of city buses? Or would they not allow that because it's too many people on a city bus? Was it too many? And when it comes to mobility transit, would they not allow that because, somebody who might be in a wheelchair, or would they not allow it because there's too many factors that are, you're in the care of the driver? So they may not allow it, but they may have it as a backup feature, so that if something were to happen to a driver, let's say that a bus driver has a heart attack on the road while driving down the highway or going around the corner, like a Greyhound driver. What would happen if a Greyhound driver had a heart attack while driving? Instead of swerving off the road and potentially killing everybody, what would happen if it could detect that the person was driving erratically, and it notified passengers that the drivers, it has a camera on the driver because they already have that, and then it says passengers, if there's anybody that knows CPR, the driver's having a cardiac episode, and then it continues to drive on the fastest route to get medical attention, or calls ahead to have medical attention come meet the bus, and then it can come to a park. Like, that's where I could see it happening, is for safety features. It's detected that an incident has occurred with the driver. It's going to get everybody to safety and automatically inform medical people to come get the person. That is where I could really see it going. But that's going to do it for that story. So we have our next one here. What do we have here? This one is from Kotaku. Sony plans to integrate Discord with PlayStation. Sony Interactive Entertainment has invested a minority stake in the popular communication app Discord. SIE President Jim Ryan announced today, as of the recording, it's a few days ago, in the PlayStation blog post, the company's plan to bring Discord and PlayStation experiences closer together on console and mobile starting early next year. Sony didn't detail much about what it plans to do with Discord, the popular messaging app, and boasts more than 100 million active monthly users, with Ryan writing that our teams are already hard at work connecting Discord with your social and gaming experience on PlayStation Network. While PlayStation has its own dedicated voice chat, there is no official method for chatting with others in cross-platform play on a system level. some kind of integration, whether that's a fully fledged Discord on PlayStation or simply the ability to use the app's voice chat across different platforms, could be big help towards bridging the crossplay gap. I don't see that. I'll explain my thoughts at the end here. To do all this, Ryan writes, Sony Interactive Entertainment has made a minority investment as part of Discord's Series H round. So you go by letters of round of fundraising from angel investors sort of thing. But didn't disclose the amount the company's investment. In March, Bloomberg reported that Microsoft angled to purchase Discord for more than $10 billion. Last month, according to the Wall Street Journal, these talks were called off as Discord repositions itself for an initial public offering. According to a TechCrunch report from last year, Discord was recently valued at $7 billion. So my thought is here, they've already got integration in that Twitch is integrated and it's easy to stream to it. Now, what about sharing if you have subscribers, or there's been issues on Twitch, but what about Discord? What if you could get into a room in party chat where you can all share each other's screens together or chat together, using it as the foundation for the chat services, as well as you could integrate it with your other Discord servers that you have and Patreon and things. I can see this moving to be their platform of choice, sort of what Mixer was supposed to be for Microsoft, only this is a better tech. And there's a lot of technology involved with Discord that's really high quality when it comes to the audio compression algorithms, as well as there's some issues we've noticed since COVID hit where the servers are being slammed so hard with activity that you hear a delay. Like when we were recording our podcasts all through 2020, or most of the way through till we started using Zencastr, you'd probably notice that sometimes it sounded like our voices were a little stretched, or there was just a timing issue with some of the voices, and it was nothing on our end. It sounded fine when we were talking to each other. It was just how the processing of the server, there was some sort of audio processing lag on Discord that we never encountered before. So it's been largely gone away, but we don't record through Discord unless we have a lot of people that want to get on that don't have access to, for instance, a browser with Chrome to get into Zencastr. So I could see that the high level of integration, it's going to be very interesting to see. Now they're saying early next year. What that probably means is they're waiting till they have more, people picking up consoles after the Christmas season. My guess would be, does it say early next year? What did they say here? Disclose amount. This score could be a big help. Didn't disclose the amount. Well, we're going to be starting early next year. So that would mean before Q4 ends. So I think they're hoping to have probably another 5 to 10 million consoles of PS5 sold before integrating it, because I almost guarantee you this will not be integrated in the PlayStation 4 platform at all. It's going to be something that requires more processing or specific architecture, things that only the architecture of the new Zen-based cores can handle to run things in the background, plus utilizing the SSD. There's stuff in here. I think that they're going to try to leverage the PS5's capabilities with it. So that's interesting. We'll see where that goes. It would be cool if they're essentially trying to use it as a means to not have to pay whatever fees it is to integrate with Twitch, but they'll still have it. It's already a better experience to stream on PlayStation than it is Xbox. The Xbox may be more powerful, but unless you're streaming through another device, the built-in stuff is crap, and it's clearly been gutted when they cut out Mixer. There's entire features missing, and it just screws up every time you try to play a game in HDR, and then it streams in SDR, and it screws up the color, and it's just yucky. And whereas on the PlayStation, it just works. And our final story here is from Comic Book, and it says comicbook.com. Marvel is being sued for allegedly stealing Iron Man costume design. Montreal-based comic book company Horizon Comics and its founders Ben and Raymond Lai are suing Disney and Marvel Entertainment, alleging in their suit that Marvel reportedly stole designs on multiple occasions in the Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Avengers films. The lawsuit alleges that the designs were used without consent or compensation to Horizon Comics and the lies, with the plaintiff seeking to put an end to this deliberate and persistent infringement, and in order to, for the defendants to pay compensatory and punitive damages to the plaintiff, in addition to Horizon's costs, including solicitor-client costs, as per the suit, via CTV News reporting. The designs at issue come from the 3-volume Radix series published by Image Comics in December 2001 to April 2002. As per the lawsuit, for the success of the Radix series, Marvel Now's editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski sought to hire the Lie brothers to work as artists for Marvel based on the series, but they declined. Then the Massachusetts Institute of Technology copied illustrations for a research grant for the Institute for Soldier Technology in 2002. MIT issued an apology, so they actually have had their stuff stolen. Oh, I thought this was just a slap case, like a slap suit. MIT issued a public apology for using the illustrations without consent, but per the suit, after the incident, Marvel contacted the Lie brothers again, and in 2002 they accepted, working on Thor and X-Men comics. We started Radix in 1985 with the goal of creating something unique. It was with Radix that we became known and recognized in the American comic books industry. We made a name for ourselves. It allowed us to work all over the place, including Marvel, Lie brothers said in a statement. The statement continued, MIT copied one of Radix's characters in 2002 to get a $50 million grant. We decided not to sue because they publicly apologized and acknowledged their mistake. But with Marvel, it's repeat infringement. After years of litigation in the U.S. and substantial sums, they continue to copy our characters. It's causing us significant damage and impacting our ability to make a living as artists. It's clear that we cannot accept this repeated behavior. The only way to make it right was to file these proceedings. As for the designs that Horizon Comics and the Lie brothers alleged Marvel stole, specifically mentioned our Iron Man 3 costume, which the lawsuit claims is strikingly similar to the one suit worn by Caliban, one of the characters portrayed in Horizon's works Radix 1. It's worth noting that Horizon Comics filed suit against Marvel in 2013 and was partially dismissed, but allowed to proceed concerning the movie's poster design. However, Marvel won that suit in 2019 with U.S. District Court Judge J. Paul Utkin finding there was virtually no evidence in the record to indicate that those involved in the Iron Man 3 poster design would have seen the Caliban drawing. In this new Canadian suit, Horizon argues that Marvel has continued to infringe upon their designs, specifically with Iron Man's appearance in Avengers Infinity War, and also claims the infringement between the Ant-Man and the Wasp characters and designs of a military character in Horizon's Radix 2. Neither Horizon or the Lie brothers have provided any form of consent, explicit or implied, for the reproduction of their works, the lawsuit reads. To the contrary, Horizon previously instituted a full legal action in the United States to enforce its rights in part of the works. After this first legal claim, Marvel infringed on Horizon's copyright in an even more egregious manner. What do you think about the lawsuit? Yada, yada, yada. Let me see. Is there pictures of this? Let's see here. I'm going to take a quick look-see. Is there a picture? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It looks not like 90% the same, about 98% the same as the front poster cover. The pose is the same. It's not just the suit coloring. It's like where the armor is positioned, everything. There is absolutely no way they didn't see that. To be honest, there's no way. So, yeah, I can totally see that they might have a case for this. That being said, they're not going to get anything out of it. The worst thing that would happen is they would just be, if anything, they're going to be paid off. They'll get a couple $100,000 a piece and their fees covered, and then they'll have to sign over the rights, and they'll basically be forced to sell the rights of their property to them. And that's just how it's going to be. So that is it for the news. We're going to take a break here and go to Birdman with his review of the new Pokemon Snap game, and then we'll be back with the weird news.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Hold that thought. It's crapper time.
Hey,
Hey guys, what's going on? It is I, Mike the Birdman, and I'm returning with yet another review for you here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. Well, I'm going to throw back the clock and go back to the year 1999. I'm in high school, got my first girlfriend, and I'm playing Pokemon. Because, hey, that's what the cool kids did. Because I sat in the back of the classroom and played it, incessantly. However, one game that really caught my attention, thanks to an old guy that I used to be friends with, was a little game called Pokemon Snap. I was really just discovering photography at this point in my life, too. I used to have a little Nikon I used to play around with, do a lot of black and white photography, and I really discovered how much I really like it. So when there came a chance to cross photography and Pokemon, why the hell not? And I had a lot of fun back in that N64 era with this game, so much so, I used to go to Blockbuster with the card and print off a lot of the stickers, if I remember right. That was a lot of fun back then, and I remember a guy I used to be friends with spent a lot of money on it. So, it's been a long time coming for a sequel to be developed for this game, well over 20 years. So when Bandai Namco decided they were going to develop a new Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo Switch, a lot of us were like, okay, this looks pretty cool. I'm surprised it's taken this long, but why the hell not? So what you get is, once again, you are tasked with taking pictures of Pokemon. I think there's over like 200 or something, and you're going to the Lentil region, which is a region I'm not too familiar with, simply because I've been out of the Pokemon franchise for a long time. Like, I know Kanto and Johto, but I don't know the Lentil region. However, I see a lot of familiar friends here. I see Caterpies, I see Metapods, Dodrios, I see Pichu I recognize, and a lot of other Pokemon, even some of the newer ones from Pokemon Sword and Shield, like Scorbunny, running around and causing all sorts of trouble. And what you do in this game is very similar to the original N64 one. You go around, take pictures of Pokemon, but you want to get them doing things that are interesting. It's not just taking a photographic record of what they are and what environment they're in. It's also getting them to eat snacks, react, showing love to their pets or their peers or whatever, and it's getting a score of stars and points, and the more points and stars you get, you fill up your Pokefogo decks, where there's like 4 slots. There's like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and 4 star, but you're also gaining experience for each area, and that in turn makes the Pokemon more comfortable with you, and they're willing to do more, and more Pokemon might show up. Now, you're given additional tools. You're also given a ball, which ties into the game's storyline, where you're basically tracing the steps of a Pokemon explorer who was around over a century ago. And it's some kind of phenomena. I think it's called the Illumina phenomena or something similar. And you have the apples or the fluff fruits or whatever the hell they're called. The ones that you can throw apples at Pikachu's stupid head. These balls. But you're also given this, like, Poke Flute too, which will cause certain Pokemon to dance and stuff like that. So you're constantly spamming buttons, also while trying to line up the perfect shot. And I've gotten some really cool pictures here, but you are really having to think as you go along in this on-rails photography experience. So a good way to think about this, if you're new to Pokemon Snap, is think of it as the world's most slow on-rail shooter, but you also have to line up the perfect headshot. So Call of Duty by way of on-rail shooter with cute animals, I guess. Not really, but hey. No, this is a pretty fun game. I put well over a dozen hours into it. I opened up all the different biomes. There's like a nature preserve, a park, a jungle, a beach, and stuff like that. And you get to see all these different Pokemon. Like I said, a lot of these Pokemon are really new to me. And it was a really fun experience. This took me back to being a kid, and I can see a lot of other people sharing things online about their experiences. I myself had quite the memorable experience with this game the other night. I'm not going to go into details, but I was shouting at the screen saying, "Look at the camera, you ungrateful bastard!" But I still had a lot of fun with it, and that's sort of the charm of this game, is trying to get the perfect shot. And the cool thing is you can always retry older courses with new tools, so you can get them to do new things, especially when you unlock the ability to have the Illumina ball, and it triggers Pokemon to do different things. They'll glow and they'll do different things, like maybe they'll cook an apple with like Thunder Shock or something like that. So, final verdict, can I recommend new Pokemon Snap? If you enjoyed the original N64 version, yeah, you're probably going to dig it. If you are new to the Pokemon franchise, like if you jumped on in the last couple of games, you're probably going to get a kick out of this. Like if you're a Pokemon Go player, or if you played Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're going to recognize all of these Pokemon, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. I think the Pokemon franchise is in a wonderful position right now. It's never been bigger. I think Nintendo just announced there's going to be a new season of the anime. There's the open world feudal Pokemon coming out next year, which I'm really looking forward to playing. So yeah, new Pokemon Snap from Nintendo is wonderful. I really recommend it. I think you're going to have a fantastic time. And finally, a review code was provided to us for the purposes of this review.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Weird news time, and we've got 3 here for you, curated by Birdman himself. The first is from the New York Times. Ohio State Senator is caught zooming and driving. I think I found this one as well, and we both sort of decided to put it in together at the same time. It says here, as the caption, Andrew Brenner, a Republican, used a background to make it appear as if he were at home rather than behind the wheel of his car during a state meeting. The giveaway, his seatbelt could be seen, and it made his Zoom background blurry. Because generally you don't wear a seatbelt when you're sitting at your desk. It says here, state senator in Ohio might have fooled anyone who watched... A state senator in Ohio might have fooled anyone who watched the state board meeting this week into thinking he was attending from home, if not for one thing, the seatbelt strapped across his chest. Also, at one point, he turned his head to look over both shoulders in what appeared to be an attempt to safely change lanes inside his home office. In footage of the meeting, which was streamed live on Monday, the senator, Andrew Brenner, first appeared in a parked car. A few minutes into the call, Mr. Brenner moved his phone, left the meeting for a moment, then reappeared and changed his background to make it look as though he were sitting in a home office surrounded by brown cabinets, a houseplant, and a hanging artwork. But across his chest, a dark gray seatbelt stood out against his dress shirt. As he drove, Mr. Brenner, a Republican who represents the area of Columbus, appeared to keep his eyes mostly ahead as he listened and responded to questions from members of the state controlling board, a body of elected officials who make adjustments to the state budget. Though the office background largely obscured Mr. Brenner's car, glimpses of his view from the driver's side window could be seen while he moved his head. Mr. Brenner did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Excuse me. He told the Columbus Dispatch that he wasn't distracted during the meeting and was paying attention to the driving and listening to the discussion. I had 2 meetings that were back-to-back that were in separate locations, Mr. Brenner told the dispatch, and I've already been on other calls, numerous calls while driving. Phone calls for the most part, but video calls. I'm not paying attention to the video. To me, it's just like a phone call. I'll say to that, then you should have just been audio-only presenting. If you really wanted to go hands-free and just be part of the call. At the same time, you are supposed to be listening and actually actively contributing and understanding what's going on and making complex decisions for your constituents. You should not be driving. That's the definition of distracted driving. Mr. Brenner's multitasking coincided with the introduction of a distracted driving bill. Oh, great. In the state's House of Representatives. The bill would expand a ban on texting while driving, currently a secondary offense in Ohio, to explicitly ban texting, live streaming, which is kind of what he was doing, photo taking, and the use of mobile apps while driving. The bill would make both the holding and use of an electronic device while driving a primary offense. Basically everything he was doing. Earlier this year, Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio included provisions in the budget proposal to crack down on distracted driving. Ohio's current laws don't go far enough to change our culture and people are dying because of it, Mr. DeWine said in a statement. Distracted driving is a choice that must be culturally unacceptable as drunk driving is today, and strengthening our current laws will lead to more responsible driving. Mr. Brenner isn't the first to have pushed the edge of what is acceptable on video conferences during coronavirus pandemic. I'm brought to the memory of the guy in Ottawa taking his pants off and letting it all fly out. But that was an accident. As meetings and court proceedings have moved online since last spring, missteps have been abounded. Judges have complained about lawyers attending proceedings shirtless and defendants logging on for their hearings in bikinis and even naked. Last month, Rebecca Saldana, a Democratic state senator in Washington, apologized after she participated in a legislative video hearing while driving. In February, a California plastic surgeon attended a Zoom traffic court hearing from an operating room. Oh, that's inappropriate. And a lawyer in Texas who was struggling with a filter had to explain to the judge, I'm not a cat. That was brilliant. And I loved how they handled it. That was done very well. I like that. I'm not a cat. In this case, the irony is that he's proposing part of a bill to talk about distracted driving while he's driving and doing his meeting. So, yeah, he may be a very good driver. He may be able to multitask, but it's not a good look. So our next story is from, where did Michael get this? KISS 95.1 FM. Where the hell is that located? Where is that located? Because I know, where are you? Well, wherever you are, if your local station, great. But here's the story is, man arrested for swinging his colostomy bag around Kid Rock's bar. Good grief. So it says here, it rained poop at Kid Rock's Nashville bar this weekend. There were no burst sewer pipes. It was a guy who took off his colostomy bag and swung it around the joint, flinging poop and shit everywhere. There was nowhere whether the incident happened inside the bar or outside. This was apparently the third run-in with the police had with this man on Saturday. So there's a source from it. So Birdman grabbed this. This is from another site called, was it Whiskey Riff? So here's a larger, does it explain more? It does. Okay, so here's the original article. We had a real-life shitstorm at Kid Rock's last night, people. No, literally. According to Yada Yada, we already said that. He was, according to his scanner traffic, there was a third time people have been called in contact with the man that night, and he had previously refused medical attention both times. When the police encountered the man again, he removed his colostomy bag and began flinging poop at the responding officers. Now, first of all, I like to feel and clarify, yada yada. Say what you will about his music. You shouldn't have that. Okay, so yeah, it's a very basic, simple story. A guy who's not well decided that instead of leaving the premises, he would swing his shit bag around. So, gross. That's an easy peasy story there. And very, very This Week in Geek story. And for our final one here, this is from complex.com. 4-year-old boy accidentally spends $2,600 on an Amazon order of SpongeBob popsicles. Wait, you can buy popsicles? Man, in the States you can buy anything on there. We can't get frozen food or produce on there unless, like, you live... no, Whole Foods. You can get, like, the canned items. That's about it. It says a 4-year-old Brooklyn boy got carried away this week buying nearly $3,000 worth of non-refundable... Oh, yeah, because it's perishable. You can't refund it. SpongeBob SquarePants popsicles on his mom's dime. The New York Post reports the Amazon order went viral after a New York U student took to Instagram, started a GoFundMe page to help the boy's mother pay back her son's popsicle debt. Meet 4-year-old Noah from Brooklyn, who loves SpongeBob so much he managed to purchase $2,618.85 worth of SpongeBob popsicles from Amazon and had them sent to his auntie's house. Katie Schloss wrote an Instagram post. In case you were wondering, that's 51 cases containing 918 popsicles. It says here... Jennifer Bryant, Noah's mom, is a social work student at NYU and simply can't afford this. Amazon will not take back the popsicles. Obviously, they can't take back food that's perishable that'll melt. And Ms. Bryant has, mom to 3 boys, doesn't know how she's going to be able to pay this off. In addition to the student loans of all of her family and other expenses, in just 3 days, $3,980 of the $2,619 goal has been raised, leaving Nona's mom with a profit. Well, they're going to take their cut. They're going to have it covered. Thank you so much, and yada yada, GoFundMe. So it sounds like he was told he could. They probably were logged in. He was probably told he could order a case, and then he scrolled through, and either accidentally or didn't realize. Well, he's a little kid. He's 4. He doesn't know the cost of things, and he just selected the maximum amount he could order and ordered like 50 or more. Let's see the GoFundMe page. Where is it at now? $23,000. Well, that's going to help with her student loans for sure. And, you know, you can only do this once. It's not like the kid can do it again and you're going to get more money. But somebody donated $1,000. Wow. That's cool. Scrolling through the GoFundMe, even after they take their percentage, there's an update. Thank you so much for your mind-blowing generosity and support. We're so grateful you made back the money in whatever hours as a parent, yada, yada, yada. Kid with special needs. So, you know what? You know, this is one of those funny, weird stories, but it ends up having a happy ending. This is, again, not something you can't take advantage of somebody. Like they were not trying to take advantage. They were just trying to get themselves out of the debt. And that's enough that, you know, she's going to be able to maybe even pay off her student loans or not have to worry about rent while she's raising the kids and going to school and all this. This is a feel-good story for our weird story. So it's been sort of a rocky up and down roller coaster this week news-wise, but that's a nice one to end it on. So now that we're finished with this, we're going to go in to my review of Returnal, and then we're going to come back at the end for a sneak peek at what's coming up and some of the products we're going to be looking at for review, talking about maybe some games and movies and so on and so forth. There's going to be some weird, interesting things coming up on the show. So stick around for that.
Basically, he's a geek, sir.
Leave me alone, geek boy.
Holy shit, you geeks are badass.
Our friends over at Sony Interactive Entertainment Canada decided to give us a review copy of Returnal for PlayStation 5. This was the game that I remember everybody seeing at the State of Play, or was it the Future of Gaming press event they showed off about just under a year ago, and thinking at the time that it looked cool, but we didn't know much about it. Well, come to pandemic year later, it's pretty much one of the only true developed for next gen exclusive titles available, and released, developed by Housemarque and released as a exclusive title. It's a bit different than what I was expecting initially. I purposely didn't read too much about it, except to know that it was a roguelike, which I usually have trouble playing because I'm not usually that interested to keep dying over and over and over and over again, seeing the same things, or having, the randomly generated dungeons every playthrough. That's not my bag. That's not even, I don't think anybody on the main TWIG crew are really into that style of game, which is actually perfect, because this means I'm going into it not necessarily with a skeptic's eye, but with no expectations. And I found myself playing a lot more than I expected. I would die and then go, okay, yeah, you know what, I'll pick up and play a little more. And that was something that surprised me, because I'm not the kind of player that likes to do that. I am somebody who likes to play it either on a normal setting or a breezy setting. This is basically hard mode. It's not punishingly hard. You do get good at it, and the controls are very concise, and I'll get a few of the negative things out of the way first. There's been some patches that have come out that have tried to address certain little issues here that ended up giving problems when it came to deleting the only singular and only save file that you don't get to control for each profile. So basically, it stores a local profile that gets uploaded to the cloud based on your user account. You don't get to go in and like make a backup save or anything. As far as I know, I haven't checked, but because it's PS5, you can't even back them up to a USB stick. So it created an issue and people were having some corruption issues, and apparently they fixed some of it. I didn't personally encounter it while I was playing. I have also not been somebody who encountered that many bugs. I know it was sort of going rampant around the internet that it was having major crashes left and right. My brother purchased a copy and he was having the same problems, which is weird because we got our PlayStation 5s on the same day. We're using the same hardware. We haven't changed anything else. We're both wired in, yada, 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 and we're not encountering the same issues. I've only had it freeze. I had it crash once, a hard crash, and then after it released the patch for it, I didn't encounter that anymore. Whereas he's had issues where it happened multiple times while he was on longer runs. I haven't encountered that at all. At the time of recording, I'm probably about 75% done as far as the main story and missions go, because this is a game that I don't know if I can actually beat because of the difficulty, but I'll keep trying at it, and I'm having a good time playing it overall. There's been a lot said about how the gameplay of it's sort of backwards, and there's no checkpoints, there's no save points. If you die, it repeats and you start over, but you get to keep some of the permanent unlockables. There isn't like a pause mode because there isn't a quick resume option. If you turn off your system, it will boot you out. It does give you a warning when you start playing to say, hey, if you want to take a break, just go press the PlayStation button and go to the main menu. But unlike with the Xbox, where you're able to switch over to multiple games, if you switch to another game and come back, you have to start over from that cycle again. So it's not really a solution, and I'm pretty sure they're going to patch that later on. These are nitpicky things that come to it. As far as the gameplay, though, it is solid. The controls are very tight and concise. You feel like you have perfect control of where you're moving. There's like zero latency. It's really well handled that way. Graphically, you get people out there right now that are saying stuff like, how dare it be a 1080p game upscaled? You know what? If somebody hadn't told you the technical specs of it, there's no way you would have been able to tell. It is a feat of engineering and art design in that it looks like a perfectly high quality next gen title that couldn't have been done on the previous consoles, because they've found a way to master atmosphere. And it's something that just wouldn't have been possible. And the amount of particles on screen that happen, this is a particle, extravaganza. There's so much happening on screen at once that I can understand why they chose not to do it not to internally render at 4K, simply because they are also using older engines for this, because it's the first year of a game console. You're going to have that sort of thing. So don't believe what people are saying online when they say, oh, the graphics, how dare they have it not be 4K. No, they're not understanding that it's not about the resolution. It's not about the numbers of resolution. It's about the visual perception of how it actually looks. And it's very well put together. Audio is on point. I did encounter a little glitch here where the audio cut out for a second, but I didn't ever encounter that again. Overall, it has a really good immersive sound, and I was able to borrow my brother's 3D Pulse headset just to try out, because he was telling me that 3D audio is off the chain on this. And it's true. It's one of the games that you can clearly tell was built to have atmospheric surround sound. And it is something to really showcase that headset, because not really any other games have been doing that except for, I guess Demon's Souls has it, and there's 3D audio built into Sackboy. I think that's about it. I might be wrong on that, but a lot of the features haven't really been shown off yet, because I think this and then the upcoming Ratchet and Clank are going to be probably the better showcases for it. So great audio, great atmospheric controls. It has a very interesting way that it starts up. Because you don't have a save file or anything, and because the hard drive, or the SSD is so fast, you start the game, and then it loads the thing saying this is a game from so-and-so, and then it gives you a warning explaining how it doesn't save. It has a background thing that's persistent. It'll keep looping forever and ever. There's no main menu at all in this game. It is, it's like you're immersed, you're pulled right in. And when you do die, you're up and running in 2 seconds. There's never really any load times for anything, which is fantastic. It makes you feel okay with having to repeat things over and over again. Story-wise, It's pretty creepy. It's like a horror version of that Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. It's like that. And I found myself, like that mixed with Alien. It's probably the aesthetic that I would best describe it. I haven't unlocked all of the extra scenes or the dreams and flashes, so it's going to be revealed to me slowly as I go, simply because I wanted to get a review out. I've played enough of the game to give my thoughts on it. At the same time, with some of these uber hard games like Neo 2 and this, I might not be able to beat it. But that's okay. And as far as anything to do with accessibility options, there isn't going to be a difficulty slider. But the game is heavily influenced by having a auto aimer for shooting at things. And I would suggest, unless you're like the utmost amazing person at like hand-eye coordination, going from the default setting and putting it on the highest setting for auto aim assist, that makes all the difference when you're starting out and you're jumping around and getting used to the bearings of the game. That actually does reduce the difficulty a little bit. You're still going to die a lot, but you're going to have a little bit of help when you need it when you're shooting. You don't have to be aiming perfectly at them. It'll just sort of help aim the gun and bullets to them a little better. And it does do a pretty good job of allowing for the adaptive triggers to allow for not just alt fire, but 2 levels of alt fire, halfway down and all the way down, and it's a very creative use of the brand new DualSense controller, and I'm very happy with that. We don't give scores per se when it comes to something out of 10. It's definitely a must play if you're somebody that is only used to playing games that you can set your difficulty down to very easy, or if you're somebody who might have accessibility issues with dexterity and being able to move around, you might want to wait till it's a little cheaper, because you might not be able to get as much mileage out of it if you can't control fast, if you can't just jump around, move around. If you're a slower game player when it comes to physical dexterity, you might want to play it with a friend first and try it out before. But other than that, if you're a roguelike fan, if you're a big fan of alien and horror games, and you like to find something that's actually exclusive for the next gen consoles, Returnal might be for you.
Those magnificent bastards!
Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
And that's going to do it for the show this week. What have we got coming up? Actually, you know what? I'm going to give just a brief review, an overview of something else that's sort of a continuation of a review from last week. In addition to the VR cover accessories that we received, as far as facial foam replacements, head strap, spacers, and all that, their sister company, which is VR Lens Lab, offered, because Birdman and I both have pretty strong glasses prescriptions. I'm much closer to being I would be considered legally blind without them on, because everything looks like you smeared Vaseline on the lens of something. Everything that I see without my glasses on looks like a blurry mess, and I have astigmatism in both eyes to different degrees, as well as nearsightedness in both eyes. I can see things that are far away in that, like, my draw distance is good, but my clarity is really off. So I've got a big head, and I have to wear glasses with these systems, and it's not always the most snug fit, and your lenses are touching the glasses and yada yada. And they said, hey, we offer prescription lenses, and I was like, wait, how does that work? So what it is that they get your prescription like you normally get from your optometrist, and I had mine on file from one of the services online where I got my glasses delivered to me. And I said, okay, well, here's my prescription. So what happens? They will then take your prescription, make prescription lenses that come with a rubbery plasticky housing that clips on to the lenses on the inside of your Oculus headset. And I went, oh, that's neat. So I got them, popped them in, put on the new foam replacement, like their more comfortable replacement face interface, and I was like, oh my god, I see so much better. Like, it's even clearer than when I'm wearing my glasses inside of it, because my eye is now close to the lens on the inside, and there's not really a gap between my lens that I'm wearing with my glasses and the lenses there, they're perfectly designed to basically be touching, and the less space you have there, the better. Short of me wearing contact lenses, there's nothing that's going to be better than that for it. And I'm not somebody who can get contacts for the specific eye issues that I have. So I was really surprised as far as the quality of it, and that's how I play. But if somebody else wants to play and they don't have, my prescription, obviously, you just have to pop them off. They just sort of clip onto place, and you take them off, and you can move on. And it's pretty neat overall. As far as, what you're able to, where is it here? Just looking at sort of the prices on their website. I'll put a link in the description, but you're looking at USD 45 to $100, and which, if you're somebody who has glasses, like I'm usually spending $300 on a pair of glasses. But you're getting the lenses; they're perfectly shaped for it. If you're already investing and you have in VR and you actually want to use it on a regular basis, and you have, the need for pretty strong corrective lenses, and you have like a big head like me, this is definitely something to check out. And you can just get multiple sets for different family members and just pop them out and pop them in as needed. So I would say that that's something I never thought would have existed, but is very well done, and the quality of the glasses are good. There's no glare. I've had a pretty good time using them now for the last week or two. Very happy with the results. And they don't just make them for the Oculus Quest 2. They also have them for Vive. They have them for... what else is it? They make them for the Oculus Rift, PlayStation VR, Valve Index. I sent the link over to my brother because he has a similar prescription to me, a little different. I still have worse eyes. I guess I win. And he's going to probably get a pair made for himself for his Valve Index, so he doesn't have to wear his glasses when he puts them on, which is pretty neat. And so, yeah, definitely worth checking out. Very well made. And it's the same sort of quality that I've now come to expect from their sister company VR Cover. So hopefully when there's new products like this coming out, we'll get a chance to check them out too and let you know about them. The other thing I'd like to say is we're starting to get more VR. Not VR in the brain. We're starting to get more review samples of screeners again from like VVS Films. I just watched one this past week for. They've got a few things on the go. I know we're going to be getting to see Wrath of Man. It's in theaters, I think, this week, but the Canadian VOD release is later on in the month, so we're going to get to see that ahead of time. So I'll probably talk about that, as we see it. And as far as moving forward, we're probably going to get more of them. We're not doing Blu-ray reviews because a lot of companies have moved to doing screeners online that way, so we're going to talk about that, as well as other things that have come to review. There are some new films that are going to be on, I think, a Turd or Treasure episode from our friends at Wellgo USA. There's also, gaming-wise, let me think, what have we got here? We have... Can I talk about it? Yes. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. I've been playing that. I basically spent the weekend doing that on PlayStation, and I've been blasting through. You know me and RPGs, if I'll get through it. And I'll have a review for that, I believe, this coming show next week. Just give me a little bit of time to process it, because that's a heavy game to process. Just thematically and just the feeling of it overall. It's interesting. We've also got some stuff that has come in the mail. We were also working on some Anchor stuff. There's a new nano charger that uses like some new tech to make it lighter and smaller and handle more temperatures. And they also sent, I was talking about weird stuff, like as in weird as in like something that's going to take a little bit longer to review, that's going to take at least a week or so. And that is from Anchor's UFI. They make like home automation and just AI and automatic Robotech type stuff. Not Robotech as in like like the Macross saga, but RoboStuff is in like a RoboVac. They sent over one of those robotic vacuums that plugs in and can map out your house and clean up stuff. And my apartment is super dusty. Nothing that I'm doing. It's just an old building. We're half below ground in the bottom floor, and just the way the wind blows, it brings dust in. It's always a dusty mess. And this might be able to get into most areas and then just have to sweep the nooks and crannies out if it's in a weird area. So I'm going to figure out where to plug this in and get this checked out. But that's something cool that we're going to be looking at. We've also got some Nintendo stuff. I'll be taking a look at the Famicom Detective Club games, those two releases that were originally on the I think the Famicom Disk System back in the day that we're getting on Switch. So I've got that to check out. We'll also be looking at what else? Oh, that's right. It came a little late. It was originally going to be for Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day weekend. It's already passed. Sorry. It's been off because I sort of celebrated mine a little earlier with my family. But if you are looking for something for Mom, and I'll probably be talking about it because Father's Day will be coming up soon. It's a good gift either way. I'll be checking out the Fitbit Versa 3 that was sent over for review, and I'm actually currently wearing it, and I'm going to probably take a few more days to gather my thoughts on it because I want to make sure that it gathers like things like my sleeping patterns and all that sort of fun stuff. It's not something you can review immediately, so I'm going to take a little bit with it, and I'll be sure to let everybody know about it and what my thoughts are, because I've had a Fitbit in the past, but I had a basic tracker, and this is more of a smartphone hybrid-y type thing. So that'll be interesting. Birdman's got some stuff on the go. I know we've got some more stuff coming. As far as reviews and of items coming that we'll be talking about that we're not necessarily getting for free for review, that we're paying for ourselves, Birdman and I are both getting the Mass Effect Legendary Collection. I'm getting the PS4 version. He's getting the Xbox One version. So I guess he'll technically have the better version on Xbox Series X when it plays through backwards combat. But I figured, hey, we should get one of each, and I'd rather play mine on PlayStation. I don't know why. Maybe because I finally beat the trilogy on all three, but all three on the PlayStation platform back in the day. So we're going to play that, and maybe we'll do a Mass Effect retrospective on, we'll do like our first prototype in quite some time on that, maybe. I'll see if he's willing to pop on in a couple weeks after that. And I've also got pre-ordered, out of the big debacle I had with rewards gift card being messed up and back and forth, yada, yada, yada. It's all organized and sorted out. I'm getting the Apple TV 4K, the new version that has the A12 Bionic in it with the new Siri remote and the HDMI 2.1 ports, which I don't have any HDMI 2.1 devices. My receiver can't pass it through. My TV is the one generation before. Even my really good 65-inch, well, really good relative. It's really good for me. 65-inch 4K Dolby Atmos Dolby Vision TV. It doesn't support it because it's the 1 year before that was standard on the TCL brands. But it is cool that it's there. Big thing being that it can handle 4K 60 FPS with HDR on, and I'm assuming that's probably 4K HDR 60. That can do that on the PlayStation, so it can support that even on HDMI 2.0 devices. So I'll be getting that so I can try out some of the Apple Arcade stuff and compare it to the NVIDIA Shield TV that we received for review before, and see, other than being a more closed environment that the Apple has, how it presents itself as far as a usable gaming console, because I haven't really tried the GeForce Now features or even the gaming on the Shield, because it just doesn't seem, it's basically a Nintendo Switch. This would appear to be on paper faster, so it'll be interesting to see that. And it will probably end up in my bedroom as my bedroom streaming box, because I have Roku built into my televisions, but the Roku that's built into the televisions is all fine and dandy, but it doesn't have the local storage to download my iTunes movies that I've been redeeming for years and years and years. So we'll see how that goes at the end of the month when that starts shipping out. And there's probably more that I'm forgetting, but that's basically it right now. I'm editing a bunch more of the Earth vs. Soup episodes. We just recorded a Sunday Funnies that might come out next week, maybe the week after at the latest. And that is on forgotten 90s comic book inspired or comic book based TV shows. And we picked a few to talk about, and that's me and JT. We're probably going to revisit it next month or the month after, depending on when Birdman comes back, as a topic of discussion for some of the other more obscure shows, just to sort of say what we liked about it. And it's just sort of a fun ramble back and forth, and it's a little more laid back than like a critical analysis would be. So it's pretty fun. And that's going to do it for right now. We might have some other stuff coming up. I will be recording a loose cannon with Aaron on Jackie Chan's first 2 forays into American cinema. A lot of people don't know he had 2 that came out before Rumble in the Bronx was a hit and before Rush Hour hit. But in 1980/81, he had The Big Brawl, also known as Battle Creek Brawl, which is a very strange 1930s gangster movie. It's odd, and we'll talk about it because I know some things that I know Aaron doesn't know about it. And then the other is 1985's The Protector, which Jackie Chan hated so much he tried to re-edit and not even acknowledge existed. And it might be one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies ever made after watching it, because it's so against type for him. So we'll be talking about that and more coming up in the next few weeks on the extra programs. But that's going to do it for real. I'll be back some other episode this week. Talk to everybody later.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.